Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very, very accomplished woman from New Zealand, Helen Chapman. Helen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Helen is the founder of Vibralite Healing, and we're going to talk about Vibralite. But before I start asking questions on Vibralite, Helen, from a very successful career in wealth management, you moved to healing others. Tell me about this incredible journey.
Well, I've watched a lot of your shows, and you have people on them and they say, well, I did this and then I moved to this, and it was all very planned, and they had it all organized. But it wasn't like that for me. It was actually a series of very unexpected life events that sent me from one direction of being a financial advisor to the other of teaching others healing. And to be honest, and I understand they couldn't be any further apart, but life took me there, and I'll tell you a bit about that story.
Absolutely. And as they say, life happens. It happens to most of us. So
yes,
you're just reinforcing that, isn't it?
So what happened was I was a successful financial advisor and I had hundreds of clients.
Yeah.
And I was considered an expert in my field. And I was actually flown around the country teaching other financial advisors a particular part of financial advisory, the very most complicated part. And I created processes and tools, and I was highly sought after and very busy. But then I had a series of head injuries, and that meant I couldn't work anymore. My brain was foggy. I couldn't concentrate. I had terrible memory loss, fatigue, and it was a very difficult time for me because I'd always identified with my intelligent mind, and now it wasn't working for me anymore. And that was very difficult. And this went on for 5 long years. And across this time, I had a spiritual awakening. All of a sudden, I could feel people's pain and emotions like they were my own. So, for example, I'd be walking along the street and I'd suddenly get terrible pain in my hip. And I would, and I'd look around and there'd be someone with a walking stick hobbling along, hardly able to walk. And then all of a sudden I'd get a headache just out of nowhere. And I would see someone gripping their head in pain.
Wow.
Yeah, it was extremely overwhelming. And I also got overwhelmed by people's emotions as well. So people's anxiety, stress. You would be amazed when you can feel what's happening with other people. How many people are stressed or anxious? It's every other person. And I was getting bombarded by all of these emotions. You know, it was a really traumatic time for me because I actually didn't know this was possible. I was a financial advisor, and for the previous 50 years of my life, I lived in a very closed world. So it was very, very unexpected, and I didn't look for it, but there I was. And fortunately, I got very good support at the time. And what they said to me was, if you can feel it, you can heal it.
Wow. Okay.
And that was really, really good advice. But that was only part of what was going on for me. Oh, I'll just go back to that. So I tried it, and I laid my hands on someone where I could feel their pain, and the pain eased.
Okay.
And that was amazing. And I just actually couldn't believe it because I just couldn't believe this was even possible. Well, at the same time, the head injuries made me very noise sensitive, extremely noise sensitive, in fact. It gave me something called hyperacusis, which is an extreme noise sensitivity. What I noticed with the noise was that different noises were affecting me in different parts of my body. So I decided, because I'm a science girl, really, I decided to do some research.
Okay.
And what I did was I started listening to sound frequencies. So I found an app that you could plug in a different sound, various sound frequencies, and I'd listen to them one by one, and I wrote down how they affected me. So some affected me physically and others emotionally. So, for example, one frequency elongated my spine in a nice way. So, I knew that was a helpful frequency. Another one affected me emotionally, and it made me feel more at ease and more relaxed, and I could feel my heart rate lessening and my breathing, getting deeper. So I found it really, really fascinating. And I went through a whole lot of frequencies, writing all the different ones down. Then I started getting frequencies for people. So the first time that happened, I was driving in my car, and I'd just been bombarded by people's anxiety. And I was thinking to myself, I wish there was something you could do for anxiety. And then all of a sudden, a frequency popped into my head. I can't remember the frequency, but as soon as I got a chance to stop, I wrote it down. And I was like, this is unusual. I don't normally get that sort of guidance, but I'm a numbers girl, so the frequencies were working fine for me. Then I started getting frequencies for different conditions. I got that a little bit wrong, but never mind. I got, different conditions. So like I said, anxiety, pain, stress, and quite serious illnesses as well. And I noted everything down in my book, but I didn't know what to do with it all.
Okay.
Then I also found some research on the internet, and it showed that frequencies can help with healing. And there's actually been quite a lot of research on it. And the theory was that every part of you works on an optimum frequency. And when that frequency is maintained, it creates healing and well-being.
Wow.
So that made perfect sense to me, because that's what my research was showing me. So I had all these frequencies in my notebook, and I was trying to work out how to get the frequencies to the people who needed them. Then all of a sudden I had an epiphany. If my guides were telling me what frequencies people needed, then why not ask my guides to send the frequencies to the people who needed them?
Okay.
So I contacted my sister in Australia. That's a long way away from New Zealand, by the way. So I contacted my sister in Australia, and I asked her if she'd test it for me. So I sat down and I asked my guides, would you please send the frequencies that my sister needs for her injured shoulder? And whoosh, I felt an energy like I'd never experienced before.
Wow.
It was warm and loving and very, very powerful. And my sister felt it, the frequencies vibrating in her shoulder, and her shoulder felt much better.
Wow.
So then she asked me to send it to her cat, who had actually been on its deathbed for the previous week, and it was basically on its way out. And so I sent this healing, this energy, this new energy, to my sister's cat. And the cat started running around chasing lizards in the sunshine like a kitten. We couldn't believe it. It was just amazing. So then I sent the energy to myself. And in a matter of days, my head was clear and the fatigue was gone. I'd been in a blur for 5 long years. And now I was just back to normal again.
Amazing.
It was absolutely amazing.
Mm.
So I knew then that this was a very special energy.
Wow, wow.
And
And
this was the birth of Vibralite Healing.
amazing. What an amazing story that you've just told me. So
It was I have to tell you that it was very unexpected.
I can
It wasn't,
imagine. And
I didn't ask for it.
and I'm sure when you were going through it, you must be wondering.
I was absolutely wondering.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I was wondering what the meaning and the purpose was, but when that energy came in, I couldn't believe it, and I was just absolutely blown away.
Mm-hmm. So, did you, based on all your research, have you been able to try and understand where you're getting this energy from?
Yes, my guidance is feeling. So for a very long time, it was more about me feeling the energy and experiencing the energy. Mm-hmm. And the point of me going through the research and everything was so that I understood that this energy is based on sound and light frequencies. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I said before about, your all of your being, different parts of your being work on different frequencies. Mm-hmm. And so therefore each part needs a different frequency for it to be healthy. Mm. So the energy is coming from the stars. Mm. So if you think of the nurturing energy that we receive from the sun that creates photosynthesis and creates all life on Earth, well, this energy is coming from the stars beyond that, and is being channeled to us. Yes.
Oh, amazing. And
yes, it is really, really amazing.
No, it's amazing. And I'm sure, everyone must be getting the same kind of energy, but someone like you has been able to understand it and channelize it.
Yes, that's a really good way of putting it, and that's what my understanding is, that I am somehow my higher self, I guess, because I'm not consciously doing anything. But my understanding is that there's a whole team behind this, and they've been working on this for a very, very long time. So archangels and ascended masters, and so I've been told that this is a very important energy for humanity, which is kind of overwhelming to me, because it's a very, very big responsibility. And so what happens is it comes from the stars, and then the archangels and the ascended masters help with the healing. So they do the earth-based stuff, which is just fantastic. And my understanding is that I'm my higher self and the team put it into a more bioavailable form so that others can use it. And the way that other people can connect with the energy is through the attunements, which are part of the course, which we can talk about later.
How amazing. You also call it high dimensional healing.
Yes.
Help me understand this phrase, and please share one or two anecdotes.
Yes. Well, high dimensional healing is... the normal healing is, the laying on hands, and the healer will draw the energy from the energy around it and us and direct it to the client. So that energy is, I guess, an earth-based energy, which is classed as the lower dimensions. So the higher dimensional healings indicates that it's from the stars, and the healing is it's the energy is purer and more effective and more powerful.
Amazing. So for all the people who will listen to our conversation, how do they reach out to you if they want to, if I can use the word, consult you?
Yes, well, there are two parts to my business, and the main part, or to Vibralite Healing, and the main part is actually the courses, because I'm really strong on empowering people. And, having trained financial advisors, and with any training that I've done, I'm really strongly driven to help people and to empower people. And the best way to empower people is by giving them the opportunity to be connected with this energy themselves and learn how to use it. And so the key part that I'm most passionate about the business is the courses, and the courses are only 2 hours long. Like they take no time at all, because it's really easy to do and it's really quick to learn. So it's a really fabulous, easy energy that anybody can do.
Amazing.
So
would you like to talk a little bit about your course?
Yes, absolutely. So we have 5. I've now developed 5 courses, because the energy first came in 2017. And through the years, the energy's got more and more powerful. And so each course gives people access to higher and to more and more powerful energy. And they can't do them all at once, because this is a new energy. And it means that people have to actually get, I guess their being needs to be prepared to embrace the higher and higher energy as it comes in. But from a course perspective, as I said, they're just 2 hours long. And people can do them online. So I've made it really, really easy.
Yeah.
And there are short videos. They're in English. And there are short videos, there's a manual, and for people who like quizzes, there are some quizzes, but you don't have to be correct to move through the course. And the course also includes 3 free healings. So people get to have 3 free healings as they go along. So the essence of the key essence of Vibralite is how people ask for it. And the 2 things that make it really different is where the energy is coming from and how people ask for it. So, as I said, it's coming from the stars, but it's also in a very intuitive energy. So that means that it responds to people's needs, and how people ask for it is simply by asking. So if people want to receive Vibralite healing, all they need to do is, as long as they're attuned, but all they need to do is ask for it. So it seriously could not be easier. And so that's why the training's so quick, because you just need the attunement and you need to know how to ask for it. And that's all you need. So it is. It really surprised me as I used the energy more and more, when it first came to me, the more I realized how intuitive this energy was. Like, all I did with my sister was say, look, can you send her these frequencies? And she got a half-hour healing on her shoulder, and she could feel it, and it felt better. And you can give healing to yourself as well, which is you can't do with other healing modalities. And all you need to do is say, please give me healing, and lie back and receive a half-hour healing. So I think it's a great healing modality for busy people.
Wonderful. So I have time for 2 more questions. My next question is that, and I've read a lot about healing, which is non-medical healing. Yes. Could you share with us some of the kind of challenges that you have tackled while healing others? You did speak about your sister's shoulder.
Yes.
But what are some of the others that you have worked on?
Okay, that's a great question. Now, we actually have a community page that the healers share. The different, their different experiences when they're healing others. Yeah. And when they first become attuned to the energy, they get so excited and can't believe, how amazing it is. Yeah. And they're all really keen to share their stories. So I'll tell you one of their stories, which I think is really neat. Absolutely. Because that shows you that it's not just me that can do the healing, it's absolutely anyone. So there's a woman whose mother has serious Parkinson's, and her mother was having tremors, uncontrollable tremors, and was it was very distressing for this, for both the mother and this healer. And so she sent her mother Vibralite Healing, and within minutes the tremors had subsided. Yeah, she was very, very excited. So there's another whose boyfriend who had sore hips, and she gave him Vibralite Healing, and he was able to walk freely again. So that was really cool. But there are other, it doesn't just work on a physical level, it also works on emotional level and spiritual level. So from an emotional level, it's really great because it really works well with emotional level. And from me having felt other people's emotions and their stress and anxiety, it was really, it's really heartwarming for me to get stories from people on how much Vibralite has helped them with those issues.
Incredible.
And then there's also the spiritual side where people have grown and developed in their spiritual. So there was one in particular who got greater guidance. So by the time she got to the third course, she was actually doing readings for people, mediums and channeling guides and giving readings. It was really amazing. But it's because it's so simple, people can just give healing to themselves. So that's what makes it really great. Like I'm in my 60s, and so things break when you're in your 60s, and so I can, I might hurt my knee when I'm out walking, and I can just say to Vibralite, could you give me some healing on my knee, and then I'll get through the day and I'll think, oh, my knee doesn't hurt anymore. So it's really great. It's a very, very handy tool for modern times.
Yeah, I agree. So my last question.
It's like having a healer in on call 24/7. It's just amazing.
Every family could have a healer inside.
I think so, exactly. I just think that, and I guess that's my vision, is that it's everywhere. It's we do have healers who are nurses, and we've had one in a busy COVID ward who's given it to COVID patients. So it'll be great to be in hospitals, rest homes, nursing homes, and in every home. It's just great.
Very well said. Helen, on that note, and your first comment, if you feel it, you can heal it.
Yes.
Thank you so much for speaking to me. Thank you for talking to me about your incredible journey and, about your story of how you suddenly discovered the frequencies and the power to heal. Thank you for sharing with me so many amazing examples of you healing, about your colleagues healing. And thank you for talking to me at such length about all the amazing work that you're doing. Thank you again and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.